Start broadcast.
The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of a interview that I do every single month with students that have attended my training that I work with that are extremely diligent in what they're supposed to do, follow the bouncing ball, and get results. And of course, the path to success is never straight. There's always some ups and downs. There's always frustrations. There's always something that needs to be done. And sometimes deals work out, and sometimes they don't. And this is what this series is all about, is to inspire you to see what it takes to become successful, to listen to other people that have struggled, that have taken the right direction, that have made the right decisions. And sometimes you can make the right decision and it still doesn't work out. So it's not about doing one deal and then being done. It's this whole business is based around doing well through time and planting the right seeds and getting the right deals under your belt and not giving up, and eventually having enough passive income that you can retire. And this is what this is all about: how to retire as quickly as possible. I do pretty much underline that this is a 3-year plan. If someone is extremely serious about doing this business, and within 3 years you can retire. You can have millions and millions of dollars in assets in the U.S., and best of all, your tenants are paying off your mortgages, meaning that you're going to have an extremely wealthy future with a lot of doors. So, just want to give a shout out to some of you that are already here. This is interactive, so if you guys want to ask questions, you can. For those of you who are familiar with how GoToWebinar works, there's a little question box on that side, and you can always, ask questions. So Cliff, always good to see you. You're always the first one to chime in. Sam, nice to see you as well, also from Montreal. Vicky from Toronto is here as well. Hello, Vicky. G'day. Graham from Australia, who was at Success Reflex just a couple weeks ago. Alex, nice to see you. Andy, nice to see you. Angelica, hope you're feeling better. I know you are. And Nick from Paris, nice to see you as well. Bam Bang, always a pleasure. Barbara, also down the street. She's in Florida. Bernadette, nice to see you. Brian, good to see you in Vancouver as well. Catherine, Christina Andrews, just closed a deal today. Congratulations to Christina Andrews. She's a Success Reflex grad from the last group. Cliff, good to see you. Don, Darcy as well. Darcy Ty out of Winnipeg. Gareth, nice to see you as well. Graham, Grant, gosh, got all sorts of people here. Can't talk to everybody. Rohit is here as well. Good to see you, Rohit. He's a machine. He's got lots cooking. Vicky as well. Gosh, all sorts of people. So we're going to wait just a few seconds for the stragglers to walk in, and then we're going to get going, roll up our sleeves, and see what we can learn from these two young individuals. I say young. I believe they're under 40, which makes them young because they're younger than me. And I think they're still in their 20s even. I think they're young little.
Oh, we wish.
Yeah. Well, you look like you're in your 20s. I feel like I'm in my 90s sometimes. Pat, nice to see you as well. Robert, Stefan, nice to see you as well. Sue, good to see you. Tara, Todd, Jan, I'm going to see you tomorrow. All sorts of really cool people here on the call, and I'm very pleased to have you. And I know your time is precious. I know there's not a lot of time available in a day, and there's a lot of things dividing, that want your attention. And my job really is to see how I can help you have more time by buying your time back, by getting into a business that allows you to have some passive income. And certainly I didn't invent the process, but I certainly refined it. And I'm hoping that you guys take copious notes. Because we're really going to dive into some pretty neat stuff, good stories, good, bad, and ugly, and ultimately see how we can learn from these two individuals in a very short period of time. So, Sue, good to see you, and as well. And all right, well, let's get going. I'm going to turn my video off here. Hopefully that works. Is my video off? No, I didn't do that. That's not what I. All right, there we go. My video's off. Now, I introduce these two young men. This is Olivier Carter on your right-hand side, and then you have Gabriel Reich on the left-hand side. I'm not sure if I'm saying this right. You're both from Montreal, from my hometown.
That's right.
And you guys are both real estate investors, and you are also both, Olivier has quit his job, I think, almost 6 months ago, a year ago, a while ago.
Yeah, over a year ago.
and Gabriel is finally getting the plunge in June. So that's the goal, how to quit your job in June. Hopefully you guys can hear me okay. So again, this is interactive. So if you have questions, this is live. If you have questions, go to GoToWebinar and we will answer as many questions as we can. But first, let's talk about results because that's what's the most important. I don't even know the number because I know you're involved in a lot of deals. So first of all, how many deals are you both involved in? How many doors do you have? And do you know what the value of the properties that you're actually invested in at this point? That's the first question is tell us where you are after the time that we've been working together.
Okay. Well, we have we're pretty much everywhere right now. We found and got into 2 deals, one in Jacksonville, and that one was broadcast live on your Facebook page where you saved the deal with the tax arrears. So that was a crazy deal that you made happen basically because of your know-how. And that one has 11 units. So that was our first commercial deal basically. And then we JV'd, joint venture partner with some other students who had deals that needed some money. So we invested. And then there's one in Indiana. There's a couple more parks in Augusta. Those together is about 98 units. And then we recently in November bought another park that's 21 units. So that's 32, 98. It's about 130 units. And we have one under contract. It's 42 pads as well.
Okay, so you'll be at almost kind of sort of 200 units ish, just under 200 or so.
Ish, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Ish, yeah.
Now, are you using your own money? Are you using investor money? So are you using? So tell me what are you guys rich because investing on all these deals?
No, we're not rich, and in fact, quite the contrary. I think most of our last dollars went to when we decided to join your group, and you taught us how to use OPM, basically other people's money, and we've been working hard that way, and we've actually, I think our first couple of deals were wholesale deals, so that created a little bit of cash, so that allowed us to use some of that cash in other deals, but we mostly do this with other people's money, investors, whether interest investors or equity investors.
Okay, so your portfolio has been generated pretty much using other people's money.
Absolutely.
So you got none of your own money invested.
Very little.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very little. Okay. Good. So you would say
that's our favorite part, by the way.
Yes. Okay. Very good. So is it possible to, with knowledge, to get deals if you don't have any money?
Absolutely. It's all about knowledge.
Yes. Very good. Okay. So you've been able to you'll be the last deal that you have is what, a 20 cap, 20% return, something like that.
Yeah, give or take. Yeah.
In fact, what's the average return of the deals that you do have? What's the average? Are they all? Let's talk about your very first deal first of all. So let's start. But actually, before we even talk about your first deal, let's talk about when you guys started, what you guys did for a living, and where you came from. You all right, Gabriel?
Yeah, I'm sorry. My wife is talking to me, so I'm trying to figure out what's going on.
All right. Well, while she talks to you, I will go ahead.
I'll hide him. There you go. I'm hiding him now, so it's not distracting us. Go ahead.
Hard to believe that we're not brothers because we get told a lot that we get asked a lot. Are you brothers? Because we sort of look alike. We actually
and our answer from different mothers.
Exactly. So we're both CPAs. Accounting background. We met in university at McGill. We did our accounting program together, and we passed the accounting exam together. And from that moment when we started, speaking, we knew we'd be in business together. At first, we thought it would be an accounting business, but it ended up being a real estate business, and it's just it's a great fit. And we started with you, Marco. It was September 2015, so about almost a year and a half ago. That's a lot has happened since.
Good. So we met September, and we met in Montreal. Obviously, I did an event in Montreal.
Yeah.
And you guys you guys were hungry. I remember the event that you actually registered at. And then tell us about your first deal, your very first one. So you joined a mentorship program. Obviously, we started working together. And then you started just going nuts, and you started residential, which is where most people start, I think. So tell us about that.
We started putting properties under contract, and we figured we'd get our feet wet with some wholesaling. And fortunately, we got 2 deals under our belt in the first 2 months after doing the training. So that gave us I think it was 12,500 total from those 2 deals. And from there, I think it was at the end of 2015 where we got some properties under contract. It was a package of 5 properties that we got under contract. We ended up buying that. We were trying to wholesale them, but we ended up, finding the money through investors and friends who wanted to lend us the money, and we bought the package, and we held that package for about 6 months, and we sold it in 6-7 months after that. So that all happened last year.
Okay, so let me just recap here. So you wholesale 2 deals, made about 12,500, and then you did a package of 5 properties that you purchased, and then resold 6 months later.
Yes.
Okay, paying back your investors. Were they pissed off when you paid them back? Were they happy when you paid them back? What happens when?
No, they were happy. Actually, one of the investors actually said, keep the money and we'll reinvest it to another deal. And he ended up being one of our partners in the latest part that we purchased in November.
Exactly. Yep, that's right. And they added money, actually. They had to throw in a little bit more. So they got a taste of the interest payments, and now they wanted a taste of the equity part. So
nice.
It's fun. And in fact, we have another deal under contract now that, they may be entertaining. So we'll see.
Very, very good. Gabriel, you look really small compared to DV right now.
I know. I don't know if it's my camera or whatnot.
You just need to be. There we go. Now you're taller. That's what I'm talking about.
I'm really comfortable.
I know you just need a little bit more Viagra for your body.
I don't need that anymore. Not yet, anyways.
It's good to know. So too much information, but thank you. So you made some money. And then you did mostly residential, and obviously you wanted. So what was the shift where you wanted to get into more commercial property? Where did that come from?
I'd say it was, I guess, the hunger to get bigger amounts of cash flows at once. I think the small ones were becoming us also very hectic with respect to management, because we were taught to have property managers, which we had, but managing the manager is probably the secret to success here. And we had a little bit of trouble. I won't lie. It was a very eye-opening experience. And basically we're saying, if we want to get to where we want, which we had numbers in mind, and these numbers would basically be translated into 70 or 100 different, single family homes. And, just with the 5, we were struggling to make sure that the property manager was doing the right things in each of the homes. And so I think that was the moment where we said, you know what? I think if there is a way and to shift to commercial with the same strategy, which is, no money down and get the deals in the 20 cap range, then, it would be the smart move. And I think we had a meeting with you in one of our one-on-ones. And, you basically told us that it's possible. It's just a different marketing strategy. And so we decided to implement that. And we've been in commercial ever since. I don't think we'd ever go back to residential. Correct me if I'm wrong, Olivier, but not in a million years would I go back to residential just because I've tasted commercial, not because residential is bad. It's just when you taste the bigger fish, I guess you get addicted and want more.
Yep. So what's your why? What's your why? What drives you? What's first of all, so you guys aren't millionaires. Well, when you are on paper right now, you're paper millionaires. You have assets that equal well over $1 million. As time progresses and the mortgages dwindle down on these things, you will obviously, on paper, you have over $1 million in equity. So technically, you're millionaires in about a year and a half. But we're not. You're not at the point yet where you want to be. You'll be after this transaction. You might be close, but you're still looking for more. My question really is, what's your biggest? Let's talk about the biggest challenge that you're having right now. Like, what's that you've had? So, many people that are listening right now don't have 100 doors. They maybe don't have a whole lot of money. Maybe they're in a position where their personal life, because I'm sure if your personal life must be perfect, right, for you to accomplish all the things that you have. There's probably zero challenges in your life at all, because all you do is focus on work, because nobody has problems, because the person that's listening is the only one that has a problem in the world. So, I want to hear about the struggle between, your looking for deals and the frustration that you do have, because we've met a few times, once in Montreal, once in Toronto, maybe twice in Toronto, where you guys have just driven to meet me for a half day. And, you're like, tabarnak, let's get some fucking deals. Like, why am I not successful here? What's the problem? What do we need to do? I wanted to go through that frustration first. But first I want to go into your why and then the frustration. So whoever wants to go here.
I can go. My biggest why was my children. I have a young daughter who's extremely involved in figure skating. It's extremely demanding. I'm at the rink about 5 nights a week, some weekends as well. It's very demanding, at least time consuming. I also have a son who has some special needs, and so that's very hectic, and at the same time very expensive to get treatment. So for me, it was just about being able to not have to spend 8 hours a day at work trying to, pay off for the skating is extremely expensive. It's probably one of the most expensive sports. I still don't understand why she picked that one, but nevertheless, she decided to go in that way, and I want to support her. My parents supported me when I was playing soccer. It's just a way of giving back to my children. And so I just want to be able to be free during the day, so I can focus on my day-to-day, which is hopefully just simply real estate as of June, and then be able to spend my evenings with my children and spend as much time as I can with them, and eventually retire my wife so that we can all travel the world. I mean, but it just comes down to the children for me anyway.
How about you, Olivier? What's your drive? What's your focus?
Well, mine is very, very similar. I have 4 kids. Some of them have piano lessons, soccer in the summer. There's I feel like a taxi most of the time with all the different places we have to take them. And obviously my wife, which I've been married with for 13 years, she comes from a very I wouldn't say poor background, but her family wasn't very wealthy growing up, so she had to pay her own way when she wanted to have dance lessons. She had to pay her own way if she wanted to go to a private school, just because her family didn't have that much money. So she's been working really hard. She was very young, and to this day, money is a very insecure issue. So I want her to not have that issue anymore. She wants to go and buy that nice pair of shoes, or she wants to take the kids for 4 days wherever. I want her to have that, and our kids to have whatever they want, within reason. Obviously, we don't want to make them spoiled brats either. But yeah, it's all about the family, and I love traveling. I like also golf and playing some sports, and I want to have some time for me as well.
Gotcha. Okay, so well, first of all, your daughter could have picked curling, so be glad.
Oh, it would have been great. I could have played with her. At least, not stuck in the stands.
Or UFC fighting, which would have been terrible, but it is what it is, right?
Yeah,
I get it. Right. So let's talk about. Okay, so you both have families. None of you came from wealthy backgrounds. That I know of. You guys have basically started from scratch. So you're not. They're not favored there. Let's talk about skepticism, because that always happens when someone starts something new. The fact that this could be a scam, or being interviewed by, the Gazette saying, "Hey, this Marco guy's a scam artist. How do you feel about that?" Because I think Olivier, you were interviewed in
Well,
that. So there's
yeah,
this whole, and this happened around the time that you guys started this journey.
yeah.
So let's talk about skepticism for a second, because I'm sure you had like, I know when I started, there was a lot of skepticism in my life, and I had to cut it out like a cancer. But I don't know what it was like in your situation, because
Well,
go ahead.
yeah, I'll take that one, Olivier, because I think we come from similar backgrounds there too. I think the skepticism for us was one step before you, Marco. We both had done some training in Montreal, or for Canadian investing or real estate investing in Canada. We eventually got into lease options with that. But for me personally, when I got involved in that course or that program, that's where my skepticism was, and it was a risk I took. It was a calculated risk, and you know what? I learned stuff. Like, I couldn't believe I actually learned something. I was able to build a business. In fact, Olivier, I'd say a couple of months later, right, that you sort of ended up in the same path as me, and you called me, said, "Hey, I'm going to this real estate seminar. You want to come?" And I'm like, "Well, I already did that." And so I sort of comforted him in the sense that I've actually, I've been able to build something, and we ended up starting working together there. So when we met you, I think our skepticism was more with respect to the U.S. market, because as much as we're neighbors, it was foreign to us. Olivier was a little bit more gung ho about getting in there. I was really skeptical because I didn't really trust the political system, the economical system, and obviously, you're this guy presenting, showing us how to make money on a board, but for us, the selling point was we were able to do deals live. That was unbelievable. We've never ever had seen this, and so, like you said, this Gazette thing sort of showed up a little bit after we were committed. So for us, it was what we call in accounting a sunk cost. So we had sort of, we had paid our money already. So I mean, there was no coming back. So essentially, we just figured that whatever you were teaching was definitely duplicatable, and whether you disappeared or not, whatever you did in that class is not simple, because you have to actually go ahead and do it, which is probably the hardest part, is kicking yourself to do it. But so I don't think our skepticism was as significant as maybe other students, and I understand it because I've had that significant skepticism prior to this course. But at the end of the day, it's all about hard work. It doesn't really matter who it is. You just got to actually follow the system and keep going at it, because repetition is probably the mother of success here.
Yeah. How about other skepticism? Have you anyone want to talk about that? Because I'm sure many are influenced by their surroundings. I know when I first started, and I told even my wife that I was going to get into real estate, she went, "Kaka, kaka." You're a musician. You're not a real estate guy. And my journey was very much alone. And I stopped sharing with people that I was actually going to real estate, because they saw me as a dead broke musician that had no future with 4 kids.
Mm-hmm.
So I just stopped sharing my dream because everyone else wanted to kill it. So I don't know if you had similar experiences, or if yours was different, where everyone's like, "Yeah, U.S. real estate as a Quebecer, let's go." Olivier?
No.
Yeah, well, for me, the skepticism didn't come from the inside. It came from external sources, people around me. So I like Gabby said, we had gone through a similar path where we'd gone to a different school for the Canadian investing. So I was already sold, and I knew that, also with the 3-day training, you doing deals live, it was obvious to me that you are the real deal, and there's no way I would take anyone else to teach me how to do this stuff in the US. And I wish I could have taken these people with me to that training, and let them see you, so that they would be fully supportive and understand my decision to want to work with you.
Right.
And that was the hardest part. And even to this day, I mean, although yes, we have a lot of doors, it's getting this stabilized and then getting the money month after month is where it's going to really start to prove to these people that it's actually working.
Right. Well, the only person you really need to prove to is yourself and your family. That's it. Yeah. Who cares about, I give no fucks about people that are not supportive. That's their decision.
And I agree with that. I mean, for me, and I have full support at home too. And thankfully, that's, obviously a huge help. I mean, I don't think it wouldn't be doable without it, but it's definitely a huge help.
Yep.
For me, the skepticism also came from exterior factors, friends mostly, that are, I guess, semi-successful here in other businesses, but they're just blinded by what they see, and that's fine by me, because at the end of the day, I'm just going on my journey. Not alone, because I'm always with Olivier, is first and foremost, and actually, Marco, you're very much part of our journey as well. And at the end of the day, like you said, all we have to prove is to ourselves, and really the only people we need to show our financial statements to are to the next people who are going to lend us money. So
exactly.
That's it.
So speaking of you've invested in Canada, you've invested in the US. Which is better?
US by a million miles.
By a landslide.
Yeah, I have to admit that Olivier was right, and I was absolutely wrong with respect to my assessment of the US prior to starting this journey.
Why? So, because when I start talking to a Canadian and I say I invest in the US, and I do this,
they think Trump now.
Well, they think that I'm literally knucking futs, like I'm crazy. I obviously I don't care what they think, but I find it very interesting. And I don't live in Canada as much as I used to. I don't speak to as many Canadians that are as skeptical as I used to, because I'm in my cocoon here, helping Canadians that want to be helped, not people that don't want to be. So do you still encounter that wall of why are you investing in the US? Just invest in Canada, it's way better.
I don't really get into this type of argument here. I sort of respect people who want to invest here, but I'm not going to argue a position. I mean, if you're not open to listening, there's no point for me to talk. I mean, I know what's going on, and if you're not interested in finding out or being part of this, then somebody else will. Well, I mean, there's you always say that there's so many deals. There's deals for everybody.
Yeah, there's less competition
whether it's
too.
For them or for us.
Less competition.
Well, that's it. It's less competition.
Yeah.
And you know what? Sadly, what's going to happen is 10, 15 years down the road, when all these people are realizing what type of returns they're getting once the interest rates go up here, I mean, we're still going to be laughing down there because we're getting 20 caps, not 4.
Not 4 or 5s. So that is the average. So what is the average cap? Cap, for those of you that don't know what a cap rate is, it's the capitalization rate, meaning that if you put X of money, you buy a building for X dollars, after expenses, you get a net income. So the purchase price, so the net income divided by the purchase price, and net income includes taxes, insurance. Someone slips and falls and hurts themselves. Any expenses at all related to the property divided by what you purchased the property for is the cap rate. In Toronto, you're lucky to get a 4 or 5 cap rate. In Montreal, probably 5, 6, maybe 7. If is a good deal, fantastic deal. If we see a 7 cap in the U.S., we literally throw up on it, and it's like it's terrible.
Next, that's crap.
And then people are like scratching their head. Exactly. So what's your average cap rate on the deal that you've been playing with, that you've actually invested in?
The first one was a high cap, right? So that helps our average. Olivier, what do you say? I think close to 20 now.
Yeah, it must be like 18 average.
And you're leveraging that with you're borrowing money at 10% and 11%, and then making 18%. So you're making the spread. So if it's a 20 cap and you're borrowing it at 10 or 11, you're making a 9% return on $1 million deal. So that's
and most 20 caps have upside too, so they can become much higher caps once we're finished stabilizing. So the spread gets bigger.
Yeah, very good, very good. Okay, so we understand your drive, and you don't give a shit about skepticism, and neither do I really, and neither should you or anyone else that's listening. Because if you listen to other people all the time, you'll never actually be successful at anything, because everyone's got an opinion. You should actually
other people's opinions not going to pay our bills anyway.
Exactly right. So that's the right attitude to have. Okay, so let's talk about a deal from hell. I'm sure you've. Let's talk about Osteen for a second because that was.
Holy shit!
Yeah. Okay, so Osteen is a mobile home park that we purchased in. I say we because I actually partnered on this as well. You guys asked me to be part of the deal because of just to have me in it, just in case it's insurance sort of thing. And
yeah, paid off tremendously so far.
yeah. So tell us about that deal. So we actually we got this from a seller that hadn't paid her taxes in a while. I had to rush to Jacksonville to pay off the taxes, and if you look on my Facebook, it's there somewhere. And we literally, I had less than 30 minutes or 10 minutes left before it went to tax sale. I saved it. We bought it from her. We raised the capital. Another student, Dawson, was in on this deal as well. And so we bought it, and then Kim bailed. Kim was a seller, and we were left with this park. Now tell us how well this park was managed when we bought it, how many people were paying, how hard it was to find a manager. Like, give us a quick 2-minute story on this park.
Go ahead, G. Yeah, I think my 7-year-old could have done a better job managing this place. That sort of sums up the management part. I mean, collections, I think were okay for the most part, but just problems after problems. There was she sort of brought in someone to fix stuff. Everything kept breaking for some reason as of the time that we bought. So we were sold this park, being told that all the upkeep was done, that it wasn't in fantastic shape, but it wasn't, she fixed everything as it needed to be fixed. And then things kept falling apart. First thing was, I think, the air conditioners, and like 6 or 7 of the units just went kaput. And then try and find that. And that's, a lot of money to be invested. And in Florida, for those of you who are not in Canada, who don't like us, you need AC. I mean, it's ridiculously hot. So the complaints kept coming and coming from tenants. So that was one thing, and then she hired someone to come and fix, who for some reason kept coming back and kept coming back. It seemed like we were his spoon feeding him every month. So everything was going wrong with this park. There was we ended up with no cash flow. Everything that we made had to be reinvested. We even have to inject a little bit more money, and then just when we're about to start finding a new manager, we're taking a look for one. We found one. Marco helped us find one, which ironically ended up being the the original seller. And so she came in, and pretty much as soon as she started, one of the tenants decided to take off and burn the house. So,
well, you know that they were arrested for. This is hilarious because one of the units got burned, and the tenant started a GoFundMe account for her burnt property before the fire happened.
Yeah.
So they got caught.
And this was the second time that one of her houses caught fire. So anyway, so the short story is get insurance. But I mean, so it was hell up to that time, and then that Kim, who's the seller now, our property manager, has been doing, I think, a phenomenal job, really getting this place back up to par, and it's now essentially fully rented, minus this house that we're going to be replacing in the next month. And once that house is up, and we can rent that for actually it's a really nice house apparently, so it's going to be a higher rent amount than the other homes. We'll probably be in and around 40 to 45,000 NOI, which is where we thought this property should be at. So if we use the sort of the average 10 cap, that property is worth about 400 to 450,000. And I think we picked it up for 176 plus some reparations that we had to throw in there. So call it 200, 225. So essentially, we were close to doubling our money once we sell this.
Yeah. So as soon as we have at full capacity, since it's in Florida, since it's in Jacksonville, we're probably going to sell it at an 8 or 9 cap, which will be over 500,000. So we're going to be into this for less than I'd say 225 at the most, if we really look at it, and sell it for about 500,000 in less than a year, plus the cash flow. So it'll be nice doubling our money.
But it hasn't been all roses. So it's been a struggle for a long time, and we just kept going at it. And obviously, Marco, you helped us a lot, and we appreciate it. And ultimately, we got there.
Well, if it was easy, everyone would do it. Everyone thinks, hey, you buy a property and it's always going to go well. And
Yeah,
the secret here is knowing what to do when shit goes down, because
yeah,
that's where knowledge is very important. Because it's
absolutely.
easy to buy a
Yeah.
property. It's easy to buy a property. Well, it's not easy to buy a 20 cap. It's not easy to buy an 18 cap. It's easy to buy a 10 cap. But
Hmm.
when things go wrong is when you really need to know what the hell to do. And I strive. That's my playground, is when shit goes bad. So that was that. So that was obviously frustrating. Let's talk about the deal you just closed in Indiana, because what's that one worth? Because that one's pretty. It seems
Oh man,
pretty. That's like a great.
that one's awesome. I mean, every day me and Gabby were like, I think we made the best decision buying this park,
Yeah.
because it's like cash cow. It's like it's generating money left and right, and it's being managed really well, and everything is going well. And that one we're netting close to 5,000 a month, like before debt service.
Debt service, yeah.
Yeah.
So NOI, almost 60 grand a year.
Pretty good. So that's a $600,000 park that you picked up for how much?
For 309.
So
Oh, sorry, 329, because we paid the wholesaler for
We
that.
wholesaled it. Yeah, we bought it wholesale.
Yeah.
329.
Yeah.
It was
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
309.
you're right.
That's right. We paid
You're right.
329.
329. You're right.
Yeah,
329.
still a good deal. That was around an 18 cap when we picked it up at the wholesale price. So whoever had it at a 20.
Yeah, that's very good. And there's still room to expand the park. If I'm not mistaken, you can double its size.
There's tons of room. I think there's room for another 15 mobile homes. We just have to figure out, and I think that's our next step, Marco. We need to discuss this soon.
Yeah.
But yeah, we need to sort of figure out the plan to get that development going. And there's a bunch of sheds there too, believe it or not, that just, it's not much money, but those things, I mean, they're just storage, for crying out loud. There's no maintenance, no nothing. It's fun to watch.
It's well.
Yeah.
So I know that one had no problems at all buying it either, did it?
Oh man.
Tell us about that real
one.
quick.
All the problems were beforehand, but you know what? Given how well it's going now and the way it's been very smooth sailing since the actual closing, it was worth the whole struggle, and I think we learned a lot through the struggle. But it wasn't easy.
Yeah.
That seller was a little bit he was something. Put it this way.
Yeah.
Hard-headed. Everything had to be his way. Changed his mind about 17 times for how it had to be done, who was going to be financing it, who's not going to be financing it. So
it worked out.
Hard case.
But if it was easy, everyone would do it. So that's the thing is.
Yeah. It's fun when it's hard.
I think so. I find easy deals boring, and what's the point? Anyone can do an easy deal. Let's do a hard one, and the hard ones make the most money because no one else wants to touch it. So
exactly.
the people that okay, so you've got a lot of doors. You've struggled a little bit. You have some family stuff. Give us some pointers. So someone's just starting out. They want to get into the U.S. market. They want to get some passive cash flow. They know it's not all roses. It's going to be hard. There's going to be some skepticism. The point of this call is really to inspire anyone that either is going through some difficult time, either personally, financially. Some are getting ready to get ready. Well, I need at least $20,000-$30,000 to get started. Then I'll get started. I need my kids to be grown up before I get started. There's always this excuse before you get started. So I really want to figure out if someone is listening to this and they just want to get started, or they're in the game and they want to do better. Let's start with the beginners. So I'm beginning. I haven't even started sending out any piece of marketing. I don't know what the hell to do. Where's a good starting point?
The starting point is to be coachable. And you have to surrender your pride, and you have to surrender your ego and listen to the mentor. That's really, really important. I mean, we had taken real estate classes, so we got into your 3-day training, and we weren't beginners in real estate investing. We knew what a cap rate was. We knew what getting funds, financing, all that stuff. We just didn't know how it was in the U.S. And so we were still beginners. in that respect, and we had to listen to you. And if you don't try to reinvent the wheel, you just, Marco says something, this is how it works. All right, let's do it. And it's a numbers game. You don't get emotionally attached to anything. And especially with the example of our Austin Street Park. I mean, if that park was not a 20 cap when we bought it, we'd be in serious trouble with everything that happened. It gives us that gap. So if something happened, we're still okay. We're still above water. And so for me, it's, listen to the mentor and just follow the formula.
And you know what? For me, it's fear. That 4-letter word. Fear is it's so prominent with everyone who's attending a seminar or a webinar, whether because you're skeptical, whether because you're scared to fail. I mean, you'll never find out until you try. And like Olivier said, if you just follow because a mentor is like a book. It's like you going to an exam with an open book. Except this book speaks to you and actually writes to you, and sometimes will actually write it for you. So there's what do you have to
sometimes lose? And sometimes it'll slap you in the face and say, "Don't do that. Don't do this."
Yeah, that's true too. We've gotten our share of beatings, but it's with good reason, and we've learned a lot from it. But I think fear of trying, and I remember because, like Olivier said, we weren't beginners from a mindset perspective, but we were beginners with the fact of how things worked in the US. And I remember going to our first training post the 3-day, and we kept hearing all this, fear of I don't want to get my entity set up first, and people don't even have a marketing, strategy going on, and they want to start creating companies. So it's just everything was upside down. And they feared everything from legal liabilities, this and that. But I mean, there's no point in fearing liability if you don't even have a deal to even discuss. So follow the system. The system is simple. It's just market the shit out of the internet, and numbers work. If it takes you 100 emails, and I know I was really frustrated. I can speak, and Olivier can actually probably laugh at this. But I mean, I used to stay up at night and send about 100 emails every night, and I would still get very little results, if any at all, and it was frustrating. And it was just keep at it, and the one deal you'll get out of all that hard work will pay off for all the time, and it's not long. I mean, sending 100 emails would probably take me an hour and a half every night. So it's not that much time, and this is after a full day's work, 8 hours working, and for a living, I'm an analyst. All I do is read. So being in front of the computer and then come home to kids screaming, crying, I don't want to go to bed, and then sitting on the computer and sending emails. It's not easy, but you got to just keep on trucking, and that's the secret. Is just keep doing it, because while somebody else is complaining, it's your opportunity to actually go out and do something, and you'll be the winner. That's for sure, every single time.
Very good. Very good. So if there's one thing that you could do over, if you could send a message to yourself right now, go back a year, what would it be? 1 year.
Start earlier. Try to meet you before. We're getting old now. I mean, I wish I had this kind of money when I was 25. My life would have been way different. But no, I mean, for me, I think it's just the negativity and always being discouraged, emotionally attached to deals. If I had that a year ago and I was willing to just let go and keep pushing. I mean, we've lost a lot of deals too. I mean, let's not kid ourselves. We've had a lot of deals under contract. Some were really, really nice, and they just fell through. And I guess it is frustrating. I won't lie. But that frustration, I think it's about, if I had to go back a year back, it would be to sort of learn to control it and just, put it aside so I can focus on getting the next deal instead of dwelling on it for a couple of weeks and basically killing 3 weeks of marketing time.
Yeah. Speaking of that, how much money do you guys spend on marketing?
Zero. We spent just a little bit of money before Christmas to try a luxury marketing strategy.
That's right. Yeah,
that was new. So we spent a little bit of money there to send the executive letters and stuff like that. And we still have a couple of wheels we're working on. It's a long-term strategy basically, but apart from that, zero.
It's phone calls and emails. I mean, exactly like we've learned it when we were sitting in the chair, when it was the 3-day. It's just that we've learned to send tons more.
And handle commercial and handle different objections and handle,
how
to do things and to build a success reflex. So when someone says no, it's exciting versus discouraging.
You want to hear no. Last time we heard yes right away, we were so pissed off.
Yes, you don't want to hear that at all. And you have a deal now under contract. I think you just got under contract while you were on a cruise, right? So you're on a cruise with your family, enjoying yourself, and you guys got a contract.
Absolutely. I mean, and I got to thank Olivier for keeping the I guess the proverbial ship sailing on this side of the border while I was cruising. But yes, we actually, it's a deal that's a long time coming. This LOI was actually done when we were at Success Reflex, which was in, I think, January. Early January, mid-January, and we only got the contract signed last week. So
negotiations back and forth for almost 2 months.
Yeah.
Well, it's not get rich quick. It's get rich correctly.
Yes.
You're building assets. You're building cash flow. So how many projects are you involved in right now? So how many deals do you have that are paying you every month or should be paying you every month if they're just starting or turning around?
1, 2, 3, 4,
or maybe 5 with this one. Yeah.
Okay. So you have Osteen that'll net about $4,000 or $5,000 a month.
Mm-hmm.
You have I know that you invested in Call's deal out of Australia. That's a 28 cap when it's actually a 35 cap at pro forma, and we're slowly turning that around. Mm-hmm. That's 70 units. That's a cash monster. Actually, I know it's not right now.
We can't wait.
Yeah, that's a cash monster. Then you have
that'll be good.
Yeah, that'll be another probably 15, 20 grand a month. There's the park that you have in Indiana, which is another
cash cow.
4,500. Yeah.
And then you have this one here, which is going to be how much? How much is this one?
This one we're expecting it to be about 8,000 a month net.
8,000 a month net. And then you have Carl Street, which I think you guys are Augusta, Georgia. Yes, so there's a lot of different stuff that you have cooking. So what I want to do is, if anyone has any questions at all, so they live in Montreal. You haven't seen. I don't think you've seen any of these. Have you ever even seen Osteen?
No, I've never seen any of the properties.
No, Olivier broke the rule, and he actually went to. You had to open a bank account. I think that's why you actually went to Indiana to open up a bank account.
I didn't go see the park. I didn't have time.
You didn't see the park. You didn't see the park.
No, I didn't go see it.
Never saw it.
And that was a struggle too for Olivier, because he ended up going to this is a funny story. He ended up going to he actually called the bank before going to Indiana so he can set up a time to meet. And they gave him a time to meet. And when he got there, the bank was closed for a holiday. So he had to stay over. It was Veterans Day. So he had to stay over one extra night. So even going to open a bank account was not the simplest thing. Nothing's easy, but it's fun. And it's funny.
Very good. Very good. So if anyone has any questions, they're Canadian. It doesn't matter if you're in Canada. Guys, if you were living in Africa or Australia or in Japan, would it matter?
As long as we got Wi-Fi, we're good.
Yeah, it doesn't matter at all. All right. So the question that Tara has is, how many projects do you have stabilized and making money on?
Well, stabilized and making money on, I'd say there's 2 or 3, and we're still working on the other.
Right. Now, when we say stabilized, you're not bleeding money every month. It's supporting itself.
No. Right. Yeah, it is supporting itself.
There's no negative cash flow.
We're not paying.
Yeah, there's no negative cash flow.
We've never spent negative cash. We've never had negative cash flow, even in our worst sort of situation, which was when Osteen was was all over the place. We never had a negative cash flow.
Yeah,
it supported itself because we bought it right, which has always been the secret.
Right. If you buy it right, you'll always do okay. And even through that, we're literally just one unit being rented away. And the market in Florida right now is extremely hot, and we could sell this thing all day long for $450. If we hold out, we might be able to sell it for $550, $500 fairly quickly, because we're going to have no problems there as long as the cash flow is there and proven, which we can definitely prove. So it's that's going to be double your money. And at that point, we can reinvest that 1031 it tax free into something else, which is going to be exciting. That'll be your first 1031. Which is
it will.
Yeah, which is cool. So Tara, that's that question. Okay, hopefully that helps. Rifat, how much of your own money do you have in all these projects? Of your own combined?
It's funny because it's our own money, but it was all money that was created with the real estate. So it's never been money that we put out of our own pockets. Actually, no, we did. No, how much did we?
I think
we reinvested a lot of it, but
I think it's about 20 each.
Yeah, 20 each, 20,000.
20,000 each total.
Yeah, and the rest. Yeah, and the rest was reinvested from other deals. So
what would your
they never actually came out of our pockets.
So what would your cash on cash return be from the 20,000 each that you have? I heard that.
Pretty high. Pretty high. Yeah, we'd be good hedge fund managers if we had that return.
Is it double digit or triple digit return?
It's triple digits for sure.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah. All right. How did you decide about keeping the existing property managers or firing new ones? What made you decide that from Peter?
What made us decide to fire them?
Yes.
Well, it's basically us going over month to month and seeing that, that's not what we expect of our properties. We expect our properties to go a certain way, and we expect our income to stabilize and to keep going up if possible. And so when that doesn't happen, it's the first, when that doesn't happen, it's an alarm. It helps a lot that Olivier and I are CPAs. We understand numbers very well, and we understand how to analyze them. So when we look at two financial statements from one month to another and realize certain discrepancies, we question a lot, we drill down, and then, depending on the answer, you can tell when somebody's lying to you and when somebody is making bullshit up, and that's happened to us in the past. And that's when we decided to either sell the properties or just, move on from the property manager. In fact, one of them, I think, Marco, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but was stealing from us.
Yeah, she was. I think I made the decision when I got Olivier, who was extremely level-headed, always very happy. When he calls me and he starts swearing at me for the first time, I'm like, okay, it's time. I have never heard the word fuck used as a verb, an adverb, a pronoun, and an adjective in one sentence so eloquently as he did that day.
And Gabby's the same.
Yes.
Whenever I get to that F word,
yeah. So because you're very you're extremely Canadian in that way. So I was like, well, this and because I have a lot of projects and I can't have an eye on everyone. And then when I took a look at it, we said, yeah, we got to get rid of Ruby, who was stealing left, right, and center. So we got rid of Ruby right away. And literally in the last 60 days, I think we've turned this park around to basically as just stabilize, basically to zero positive cash flow, just paying the bills to about 4,000 a net, which is nice. So.
Yeah.
With the sale,
yes.
which was our intention. Our intention actually on this park was to buy it to sell it, not to keep onto it for a long time. Right. Very good. All right. So Darcy is asking, how did you find your first couple residentials?
Craigslist. We marketed and we put them on our contract. We negotiated with the sellers, and eventually just turned around and we through our network. And actually, those two wholesales were done to students that we'd met or that we networked at different events, and that's it.
So you basically just followed what you learned and did it.
Yeah. Yep. It was actually probably too simple at that point.
So Darcy,
we're not into wholesaling as a sort of our bread and butter, but it was definitely a simple process.
Darcy, you've attended the 3-day. Darcy, you have access to the tools to do it. Just follow what you fucking learned, and you'll be fine. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I love you, man. Just follow the recipe. All right. So that's a complicated question. Heinrich is asking, how do you find good managers for income properties? If you guys want to answer
you
that.
call.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interview, ask questions, and this is something that you're going to keep getting better at every time you hire one. Because you're always going to learn something or realize something that you forgot to ask last time, or just the way people manage in general. You're like, well, next time I'm going to make sure that this doesn't happen, or that the manager can do this. A good manager is going to be honest, is going to report to you a lot. Like once it's radio silence for 4 or 5 days, you have a bad manager. When somebody when they contact you and they're always proactive with you, you got a good one. And you need someone who knows how to lease. If they know how to lease, that's a huge plus. I mean, Sugar Court, we have a great manager. I don't think if there's a vacancy, sometimes within 15 days she's got someone in there.
That's great. And this is in the middle of nowhere too. This park is not in like downtown anything.
No.
Yeah. Now, what other piece of advice? Now, guys, if you have any questions, we have about 10, 15 minutes left. I scheduled about an hour and 15 minutes here. And by both of you boys, thank you very much for your time as well. I know your time is valuable, so thank you. Again, the objective here is to inspire others to get off your damn asses and do something. In fact, is this a real? If people do what you are doing now, could they have a real shot of retiring wealthy? I guess that's a question.
Absolutely. There's no reason not to, as long as you put in the time and effort.
Now, you're both CPAs. Would you prefer to have a job, or would you prefer to retire and do this full time?
No, I can't wait to retire and do this full time.
Right.
I'm actually unemployable now. There's no way I'm going back to a 9 to 5 ever again. So I'm doing everything to make sure I don't have to.
So, and we're sort of a victim of our own successes from a professional standpoint, because being CPAs, we're also, we're well paid. So replacing our income is just that much harder. So for those of you who are 20 years old and still, coming out of school or have
it's the best
lower
time.
Income jobs, just go for it. I don't know, wow.
Best time.
Yeah, I'm jealous.
I had someone the other day say they couldn't start real estate because they just got fired from their job. What do you have to say about that?
It's the perfect time to start.
Yeah.
It's the
you have nothing to lose. You have nothing to lose. You're the deadliest person on earth.
Yeah, it's true. It is very true. Any other pieces of advice? Any other questions? No one's asking any questions. Oh, my early question about the hard-nosed seller who was hard to deal with. What happened and how did they handle the problems? Tell us about that. That's from Jim.
I don't know if Olivier, you want to go take that one, because I think
can you do it in 1 minute? Can you do it in 1 minute or less? Quick snapshot.
Yeah, well, this guy, it was his way or the highway. So basically, we had to present our point of view every time and reestablish where we were coming from and trying to understand where he was coming from. Obviously, he had some issues in the past that he was trying to not get repeated again, and with the help of Marco, you actually helped finding the problem in his past and understanding where it was coming from, and then finding a solution that was like neutral both parties. But basically, it was
in short, he made us rewrite the contract like 3 different times, and we had to sort of find different solutions every time, but we got it done, and that's largely with the help of Marco. So.
Well, this is not about me at all here. This is about you guys.
No.
So I really don't want to be it's all about me, because I really want to put you guys on the pedestal.
To know that you're there when we have problems, right? I mean, we've done this on our own, but when we have issues and things go sour in every single deal, it's crazy. There's always something, and you have the answer just because of your experience, and that's essentially why you're around, and we appreciate it, and we know we do a lot of the work, and it's not most of the work, but when shit hits the fan, it's always good to have that insurance.
Yep, and you've actually made a choice, I think, and I don't want to talk out of school, but Now, when you have a deal, you're wanting me to be part of it, just as insurance, just in case something happens later. You can do this on your own. You don't need me to have in the deal at all. But I know you've chosen to do that. Why have you done that?
Because it comforts our investors, first of all, especially at the beginning where we were, I guess, rookies at borrowing money from people and investing it in real estate. And it comforts us to know that we can protect our investors, because if something goes wrong, we have someone of quality that can help us find a solution. And there always is one. It's just that I don't think we're there yet with figuring it out all the time. And it saves us a lot of time too, so it's definitely worth it. We can concentrate on finding more deals, which is right now our bread and butter.
Right, and you've got I think the one that you have right now is what, a 23 cap?
The one that we're working on?
Yeah, the one that you're in Oklahoma?
Yeah, it's a 20 cap for now, but okay. There's so much room, there's so much upside.
There's the pro forma is probably 25.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's terrible deal. All right. Yeah. Don, you say, can you see my questions? But I don't know what it is. So Amy just got here. Start with wholesaling residentials and then jump right into commercial. Do you currently own any single family houses at all? And
Nope. Not going back.
Not going back. Yeah.
Oh. The only way we'd ever consider commercial is if there's a package of properties and we
residential
wholesale. Residential is getting a package and wholesale the package.
Yeah.
And why don't you like residential anymore?
It's less. It's for us giving. Again, it's because of what we want, and everybody has different wants from the real estate business. For us, we want to grow this as a mini empire, so we have to have a lot of cash flow coming in. And under that strategy, if we stick to the residential process, it ends up being, a ton of single doors or, double doors if they're duplexes. And that's just a management headache for us. We don't like management. Olivier hates it. I can't stand it either. So for us, having, a property manager that takes care of, one park that has, 40 units or 70 units at a time, it's just, it leverages the time and the efforts. We have one person to supervise instead of, a company who has like 7 different people going to like 90 different houses. For us, it's just about having less assets in terms of numbers, but more cash flow in terms of dollars.
I'm gonna interject as well, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Single family is great, but when the economy crashes, and it always does, the economy goes up and down all the time. It crashed in the 80s. It crashed a little bit in the 90s. It crashed in like every 10 years. There's a market shift. It's going to happen. Commercial is based on income and not on the market cycle. So if the market goes down, we can actually pick up more property for better prices because people are panicking, but the income is still there. So it's not going to change. When people lose their property, when the crash happened, people lost their property. They had to rent property, which means they would go into commercial property or multifamily, which increases supply and demand, increasing rents, meaning your building is worth more. So when times are tough, the best thing to do is to get into multifamily residential, in my opinion. I'm sure there's experts that will disagree with me, and there's experts that think that Elvis is still alive, but it is what it is. So, not saying that.
And it's passive income.
It is passive income, and so is multifamily. So is single family. So I'm not saying single family isn't good. I think everyone has to. I started in single family. I still do single family. If I find a single family that makes sense, I'll buy it. Would I rather put? Well, first of all, which is easier, single family or commercial? Let's ask you guys, which is easier.
Well, single family.
Get a deal residential is easier.
Yeah, there's so much of it.
All right,
commercial to get a good deal is just a lot more work. It's just that when you get the deal, it pays off, tenfold.
Right. Don is asking, do you only buy off-market properties?
No, actually, the one that we have under contract was LoopNet or Mobile Home Park Store, whichever they were. I think it was listed on both. We picked it up from there.
Have you bought off-market properties?
Yeah.
Have you bought on-market properties?
Yeah.
So blonde or brunette doesn't matter as long as it's as long as
We're
As long
not
as
jealous.
exactly. So here's another secret: is don't be romantic as to where your money comes from. Many of you are romantic. It has to come from Florida. It has to come from here. It has to come from there. It has to be this asset or it has to be that asset. As you start becoming more of a master, you don't become romantic as to where the money comes from. It doesn't matter if it's a mobile home park, a multi-unit, either a single family, a luxury home, storage unit facilities, whatever it is, a hotel, which is something that you're going to graduate to very shortly. We're going to start working on hotels together.
Yes.
So there's a progression that happens, and you guys are walking through it. And it hasn't been easy. It hasn't been an easy year and a half for you guys. It's you've met me multiple times. You've been frustrated. You're like, what the fuck, man? I'm not getting any deals. What do I have to do? What am I doing wrong? There's been
Yeah.
many crises of faith during this period of time, which is very normal. It's part of the journey. It's part of the and I'm very proud of you guys for working through it, because most give up. Most give up. You're looking at two guys that haven't given up. You're looking at two guys that just did it. They didn't. They struggled through it. They got pissed off through it. They came back to events. They came back to learn. They've been humble. They've never once asked to quit. They've always been like, you know what? I'm gonna fucking do this, and they did it, and they keep doing it. And
And
now,
you know what? When your why becomes bigger than your excuses is when you keep going. I mean, the excuses, everyone can find them. They're everywhere. But if you're the reason why you started this, you remember that, and it's bigger than those excuses, you'll keep going. You'll remember why you're doing this.
right? Any last words? Not very many people have more. Rifata's asking how to balance family work and investing. How do you balance that?
It's not easy, at least for me, because I still have a 9 to 5, not for long, 10 more weeks, counting them. It's you know what, the family support is huge. It's I have a wife who really believes in what we're doing and in the system, and she God bless her, takes care of the kids more than her fair share, and that helps a lot. So obviously having a good support group at home is huge. It's difficult also on the sleeping hours. I don't think I've gotten more than 5 hours of sleep in the last couple of weeks. So I crash here and there one day, but it's to me it's the struggle I gotta go through to get where I want. And in 10 weeks, I'm no longer gonna be at a 9 to 5. I'll be able to do whatever the hell I want, and at the same time have fun while doing real estate. And the beauty of real estate is you don't have to work 9 to 5. You can take 2 hours every day and do what you got to do, and then use the rest of the day to do what makes you happy. And I think it's a sacrifice, and it's hard. It's not easy. I know it's been very challenging for myself, but now that the light's sort of at the end of the tunnel, I see it. It's definitely been worth it. It's a year and a half of struggle that's gonna result in a lifetime of happiness. It's definitely a great investment.
And how long have you been working in your job?
This particular one, 7 years now.
What gave you more? What's giving you more reward? The 7 years that you've been at your job now, or the year and a half that you've been in real estate?
Oh no, the year and a half for sure. I mean, the 7 years were good. I mean, I enjoy what I do. I just don't like that I have to do it for someone else, and when someone else asks me to. And you know what? And I'm lucky enough to have a job that can very much complement my real estate business. So when I quit and I no longer have a conflict of interest with it, I think I can make our business explode.
Very good. Very good. Someone asked if you attended Success Reflex.
Yes, we did.
Yes, we did.
And
And it was a great new tools that we learned that we put in our arsenal for when we speak to sellers, when we speak to brokers, when we speak to agents, when we speak to anyone, basically.
But you're also in the mentorship program, so you basically everything I have you've done. You've done luxury homes, you've done the creative financing class. You guys have done everything. You've always shown up, and you've always done it all. So you always have been wanting to learn, eager to learn, and you've never been scared to learn or apply the information. So that's pretty awesome. Okay, well, any last common Any last comment? Someone, Nick from Montreal as well, who also lives in Paris, wants to know if you're diamond students.
Yes, we are.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So what? Last part. You each have one thing last to say, and then you're done.
All right. Well, for me, I'm very an introvert person. I don't like talking on the phone. I have issues with talking with people. I just don't like it. And that's one thing that I'm not good at, or I feel I'm not good at because I don't like it. But if I can do it, anyone can do it. That's basically it.
Yeah, for me, it's just whenever you feel down, that's the perfect time to just pick it up again. It's the perfect time. Yeah, I mean, you'll see so many results from the time that you pick yourself up and just do it. Just keep going. It's not easy. It's not fun sometimes mentally, but it's extremely rewarding because you'll realize that it's definitely worth it. And once you realize the value of keeping on, it's I mean, you're gonna get addicted to it. And it's just going to make you better, not only in real estate, but in every other facet of your life, because you'll learn to always, keep yourself up.
Are you the same people that I met a year and a half ago from have you learned have you grown?
Oh, yeah,
have you changed how you communicate? Have you changed how you see the world, the possibilities? Has the real estate training that you've gone through and the personal development that you've gone through with yourselves over the last year and a half that we've met, has it been different than the last year and a half before you met me? Let's call it that way. Is it different?
Absolutely. Oh, yeah, night and day for me.
Yeah, good.
Absolutely.
Yeah, people listening to me talk now about real estate who thought I was a nobody before. Just the way we speak about things it's changed everything. For me, it's changed everything.
Well, you've learned how to raise money, so you don't have to use your own. You've learned how to find properties, so you can plug those in people, and the people that you're talking about returns are much higher returns than they could ever get anywhere else. So you're actually helping them get better returns to help you get better life for yourself. It's a win-win-win. You find the right deal, they plug into the deal, they get equity, they get a return that they could never get at a bank, and next thing you know, their friends are telling two friends, and you have all this cash that you have access to. So just having that knowledge of how to communicate with people, how to find those deals, how to put them together, how to deal with crisis, which I think very few people learn how to do because most people run away from a problem. They run away from a situation that's difficult. And the fun is in the difficult things. You lean into that pain. And as soon as you start learning how to deal with crises, and it's not life or death, no one's going to die. No one's going to, kill you or your family. The crisis is really not that bad. It's just a small crisis. It's frustrating, but it's not life threatening. I think that's, and again, I can't say enough how proud of you, how much respect I have for you two. You guys are like just everything I've ever asked you to do, you've done. You've not given up when it's been extremely hard. We've had some extremely difficult sellers, some deals that have almost fallen apart. Some deals we've lost that have been terrible to lose, but shit happens and you picked yourselves up and now you're no longer finally emotionally attached to the deal being on or off because there's one around the corner that's going to be just as good or better. And,
yeah,
that's right.
Which is great. So, guys, thanks again. I want to applaud you guys. You guys are awesome. I think I'm proud of you. You've done well. Thank your wives for me and for allowing you to, for you to be part of my life because you've enriched my life as much as hopefully I've enriched yours. And hopefully you're enriching the 60-some people that are on the call tonight and the hundreds that are going to watch it afterwards to just get off your keister, learn what you need to learn, do what you got to do, find the right person to help you, whether it's me or somebody else. Doesn't matter if it's me. There's I'm sure there's some other people that can teach you how to do this. But find the right person with the right personality fit and just do it. And just don't retire in the next 25 years, which is what you learn in school, which is a tragedy. Do it now and retire in the next year and a half to 3 years. So final question, if someone does this, can they retire in 3 years or is it bullshit?
Absolutely. We did it in a year and a half now.
Yeah, great. Well, fantastic. Guys, thanks very much for being on the call. I really appreciate you both. Love you both. And look forward to
We love you too, Marco.
kicking your ass and giving you a big mental hug right now. With ass out hug, though. Not too close. Ass out hug.
Yes,
yes,
of course. Ass out always.
Always. Very, very good. Yes, you're not.
No creepy hug.
Yes, no creepy hugs. And I'll see you. I'll see you in Oklahoma when we go see that property. So I look forward to it. Thanks, guys. Hope everyone got a lot out of it tonight. Thanks very much. You guys rock. Thanks so very much. Oh, by the way, if you want to see a replay of this, it'll be on Facebook. I'm sending you the link right now. Facebook.com/Marco Kozlowski tool. Very good. There. I think I did it right. And we have Success Reflex tomorrow for the weekend. It's going to be fun. It's going to be badass. Guys, I love you, and I'll see you guys later. Thanks again for being on the call. I appreciate you very much. God bless.
Thanks.
Thanks, guys.
Take care, guys.
Bye-bye.